Hello all, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video I am going to narrate chapter 5th of First Flight book, English NCERT book. The name of the chapter is The 100 Races First. The chapter by Eleanor Estes. Before you read, how do we judge the people around us? By their money, wealth and possessions? Or is there something more of enduring value? Something of more enduring value to look for in a person. This story is a sensitive account of how a poor young girl is judged by her classmates. Wanda Petronsky is a young Polish girl who goes to school with other American children in an American town. These other children we see Wanda as different in many ways. Can you guess how they treat her? Read the information in the box below. Find out more about this community or about a related topic from encyclopedia or the internet. Today Monday, Wanda Petronsky was not in her seat, but nobody, even Peggy and Madeline, the girl who started all the fun, noticed her absence. Usually Wanda sat in the seat next to last seat in the last row in room 13. She sat in the corner of room where the rough boys who did not make good marks sat. The corner of the room where there was most scuffling of feet, most roars of laughter when anything funny was said, and most mud and dirt on the floor. Wanda did not sit there because she was rough and noisy. On the contrary, she was very quiet and rarely said anything at all, and nobody had ever heard her laugh out loud. Sometimes she twisted her mouth into a crooked sort of smile, but that was all. Nobody knew exactly why Wanda sat in that seat, unless it was because she came all the way from Boggins Heights, and her feet were usually caked with dry mud. But no one really thought much about Wanda Petronsky once she sat in the corner of the room. The time when they thought about Wanda was outside of school hours at noontime when they were coming back to school, or in the morning early before the school began, when groups of two or three or even more would be talking and laughing on their way to the schoolyard. Then sometimes they waited for Wanda to have fun with her. The next day, Tuesday, Wanda was not in school either, and nobody noticed her absence again. But on Wednesday, Peggy and Maddie, who sat down front with other children who got good marks and who didn't track in a whole lot of mud, did notice that Wanda wasn't there. Peggy was the most popular girl in school. She was pretty, she had many pretty clothes, and her hair were curly. Maddie was her closest friend. The reason Peggy and Maddie noticed Wanda's absence was because Wanda had made them late to school. They had waited and waited for Wanda to have some fun with her, and she just hadn't come. They often waited for Wanda Petronsky to have fun with her. Wanda Petronsky, most of the children in room 13 didn't have names like that. They had names easy to say, like Thomas, Smith, Allen. There was one boy named Bounce, Willie Bounce, and people thought that was funny, but not funny in the same way that Petronsky was. Wanda didn't have any friends. She came to school alone and went home alone. She always wore a faded blue dress that didn't hang right. It was clean, but it looked as though it had never been ironed properly. She didn't have any friends, but a lot of girls talked to her. Sometimes they surrounded her in the schoolyard as she stood watching the little girls play hopscotch on the worn hard ground. Wanda, Peggy would say in most courteous manner, as though she was talking to Miss Mason. Wanda, she would say, giving one of her friends a nudge. Tell us, how many dresses did you say you had hanging up in your closet? 100, Wanda would say. 100, exclaimed all the little girls incredulously, and the little ones would stop playing hopscotch and listen. Yes, 100 out lined up, said Wanda. Then her thin lips drew together in silence. What are they like? Old silk, I bet, said Peggy. Yeah, old silk, all colors. Velvet too. Yeah, velvet 200 dresses. Wanda would repeat stolidly. All lined up in my closet. Then they would rather let her go, and then before she would gone very far, they couldn't help bursting into shrieks and peal of laughter. 100 dresses. Obviously, the only dress Wanda had was blue one on she wore every day. So why did she say she had 100? What a story! How many shoes did you say you had? 60 pairs all lined up in my closet. Cries of exaggerated politeness created this, all alike. Oh no, every pair is different, all colors all lined up. Peggy, who had thought up this game, and Maddie, her inspiration friend, were always last to leave. Finally, Wanda would move to the street, her eyes dull and her mouth closed, hitching her left shoulder every now and then in funny ways she had, finishing the walk to school alone. Peggy was not really cruel. She protected small children from bullies and she cried for hours if she saw an animal mistreated. If anybody had said to her, "Don't you think that is cruel way to treat Wanda?" she would have been very surprised. Cruel. Why did the girl say she had 100 dresses? Anybody could tell that that was a lie. What did she want to lie? Why did she want to lie? And she wasn't just an ordinary person else. Why did she have a name like that anyway? They never made her cry. As for Maddie, this business of asking Wanda every day how many dresses and how many hats and how many this and that she had was bothering her. Maddie was poor it herself. She usually wore somebody's hand-me-down clothes. Thank goodness she didn't live up on Boggins Heights or have a funny name. Sometimes when Peggy was asking Wanda those questions in the mocking, polite voice, Maddie felt embarrassed and studied the marbles in the palm of her hand, rolling them around and saying nothing herself. Not that she felt sorry for Wanda exactly. She would never have paid attention to Wanda if Peggy hadn't invented the dress game. But suppose Peggy and all others started in on her next. She wasn't as poor as Wanda, perhaps, but she was poor. Of course, she would have more sense than to say she had turned 100 dresses. She still she would not like for them to begin on her. She wished Peggy would stop teasing Wanda Petronsky. Today, even though they had been late to the school, Maggie was glad she had not had to make fun of Wanda. She worked her arithmetic problems absent-mindedly. 8 times 8, let's see. She wished she had the nerve to write Peggy a note because she knew she never would have the courage to speak out. Write to Peggy to say, "Hey Peg, let's stop asking Wanda how many dresses she has." When she finished her arithmetic, she did start a note to Peggy. Suddenly she paused and shrugged. She pictured herself in a schoolyard, a new target for Peggy and the girls. Peggy might ask her where she got the dress that she had on, and Maddie would have to say it was one of Peggy's old ones that Maddie's mother had tried to disguise with new trimmings. So no one in the room 13 would recognize it. If only Peggy would decide of her own accord to stop having fun with Wanda. Oh well, Maggie ran her hand through her short blonde hair as though to push the uncomfortable thoughts away. What difference did it make? Slowly Maddie tore into bits the note that she had started. She was Peggy's best friend and Peggy was the best liked girl in the whole room. Peggy could not possibly do anything that was really wrong, she thought. As for Wanda, she was just some girl who lived upon Boggins Height and stood alone in the schoolyard. She scarcely ever said anything to anybody. The only time she had talked in was in the schoolyard about the hundred dresses. Maddie remembered her telling about one of her dresses, pale blue with colored trimmings, and she remembered another that was brilliant jungle green with red sash. You would look like a Christmas tree in that, the girls had said in pretended admiration. Thinking about Wanda and her 100 dresses all lined up in the closet, Maddie began to wonder who was going to win the drawing and coloring contest. For girls, the contest consisted of drawing dresses, and for boys, of designing motorboats. Probably Peggy would win girls' medal. Peggy drew better than anyone else in the room at least that's what everybody thought. She could copy a picture in a magazine or something stars had so that you could almost tell who it was. Oh, Maddie was sure Peggy would win. Well, tomorrow the teacher was going to announce the winners. They would know, then they would know. The next thing, the next day it was drizzling. Maggie and Paddy hurried to school under Peggy's umbrella. Naturally, on the day like this, they didn't wait for Wanda Petronsky on the corner of Olive Street, the street that far, far away under the railroad tracks and up the hill led to Boggin's Height. Anyway, they weren't taking chances on being late today because today was important. Do you think Miss Mason will announce the winners today? Asked Peggy. Oh, I hope so. The minute we get in, said Maddie. Of course you will win, Peg. Hope so, said Peggy eagerly. This minute they entered in the classroom, they stopped, soared, and gasped. There were drawings all over the room. On every ledge and window sill, dazzling colors and brilliant lavish design, all drawn on great sheets of wrapping paper. There must have been 100 of them all lined up. These must be the drawings for the contest. They were. Everybody stopped and whistled and murmured admiringly. As soon as the class had assembled, Miss Mason announced the winner. Jake Bagels had won for the boys, she said, and the design for outboard motor was on exhibition in the room 12 along with the sketches by all other boys. As for girls, she said also just one or two sketches were submitted by most one girl and room 13 should be proud of her. This one girl actually drew 100 designs, all different and all beautiful. In the opinion of judges, any one of the drawings is worthy of winning the prize. I'm very happy to see that Wanda Petronsky is the winner of the girls' medal. Unfortunately, Wanda has been absent from school for some days and is not here to receive the applause that is due to her. Let us hope she will be back tomorrow. Now, class, you may file around the room quietly and look at her executive drawings. The children burst into applause, and even the boys were glad to have a chance to stamp on the floor, put their fingers in their mouth, and whistle, though they were not interested in dresses. Look, Peg, whispered Maddie. There is the blue one she told us about. Isn't it beautiful? Yes, said Peggy. And here is the green one, boy. And I thought I could draw. Thank you.